Are you looking to optimize your health? Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 127. Hello, True Health Seekers, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Boy, do I have a very enlightening episode for you today. Several months ago, I was interviewed on the EliteManMagazine.com's podcast by Justin Stenstrom. He now is the host of the Justin Stenstrom Show as well, so he hosts two podcasts. And I had the chance to have him on my show, and then he had me on his show. And what was really exciting was that I got to open up and share about the power of neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, and the type of coaching work I do. And I even taught on this episode some very powerful techniques, such as how to live an awesome life and how to just enhance the amount of positive emotions that you are feeling throughout the day, and how to eliminate anxiety. Now, not just the type of anxiety you hear where people go on medications or where they can't leave the house, that kind of a very intense anxiety, but also just the day-to-day slight, maybe like a 0.3 on the anxiety scale. It doesn't really stop you from doing what you love, but it doesn't make your life awesome. You know, having that little bit of anxiety here and there, and you don't have to have it. In fact, you can live a life where you are free of anxiety. And this is exactly what I teach in today's episode. So Justin gave me the recording of our interview that we did way back in, I think it was about October of last year. And he gave me his blessing that I could play it. And you know, if you like his interview style, you should definitely check out his show. So he's EliteManMagazine.com and also the Justin Stenstrom Show. He likes to coach men mostly, but I happen to really love the interviews that he's had on, and I've learned a great deal from his podcast, and I didn't have to be a man to do it. So you can check him out as well by going to EliteManMagazine.com. And of course, the links to what Justin does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast. But remember, he's the interviewer and I'm the one being interviewed, which is going to be a lot of fun, I think, for you, because I teach some very powerful techniques. Now, in the interview, I talk about how I'm coming out with a product, which I worked on for many months. I recorded lots of training videos and I created an entire training program, an NLP system that you could take into your life, not only eliminating anxiety, but also removing negative emotions, limiting decisions, and setting your life up in such a way that you are more empowered than you are now, that you are able to be free from those things that are stopping you. So it's a roadblock eliminator. And this entire program I was going to launch as a separate course. But then I decided, see, in the NLP world, my colleagues in the NLP world sell these kinds of trainings for thousands of dollars. And what I decided to do is give my listeners a chance to, any listener that wants to attend this program, this online program that I've created, and improve their life, eliminate their anxiety, their negative emotions, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. If any of that's stopping you, or if you don't wake up every day and feel full of joy by the time your feet hit the ground, then you will benefit from doing this program that I've created. And so I've included it in my membership. And, you know, my husband tells me I do not talk about this enough, this feature on learntruehealth.com enough. And, you know, I'm always so busy uplifting and promoting my guests that I don't take the time to let you know that I also have a membership to the website where you can gain access to hundreds of hours of videos and training. You also gain access to me as a coach, and you gain access to doctor's information, naturopathic information, supplement information, how to meditate, how to decrease stress, and of course my entire training on how to not only eliminate anxiety, but how to live a life you absolutely love and remove the negative emotions and limiting decisions from your life. So I've included all of that in my membership, which is only $25 a month. And that price will go up eventually because I do take the time to work with those who decide to work with me as a member. And so right now, for my listeners, please go to learntruehealth.com, and right there on the homepage, you're going to see in the menu, it says become a member. Just click on that and then join, and go to the section about emotional and mental health and check out the entire training. It is dripped, so you receive several videos each month, and that way you can take the time to do the homework that is included in the program, and that's very important, and also life-changing. There is a 7-day money-back guarantee, so if you get in there and you decided it's not for you, then you can just get your money back, and I'll still love you. I really want to give you an amazing life, and that's why I created the Learn True Health podcast, was to help people gain health emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I know that I can help you in that realm. I can help you gain a life that is just absolutely full of joy on an emotional and mental level. And so definitely you want to check out the learntruehealth.com's membership. Just go to learntruehealth.com, and right there at the top you can click become a member and join, check it out, and do the entire program that I am teaching the first few steps to in this interview. So I'd love to hear back from you as well. Please join our Facebook group. It's free to join. Just find Learn True Health in Facebook, or go to learntruehealth.com/group. And you can chat with myself and also with the community, and ask questions. If you have any questions about this process or this program, please feel free to reach out in the Facebook group. I'd love to hear from you. Excellent. Well, enjoy today's show, and please share this episode with all your friends who you know have anxiety or you know would love to be happier in their life. You can make a big difference in their life by doing that.
All right, guys, we're live. It's Justin Stenstrom from EliteManMagazine.com, and my guest today is Ashley James from the Learn True Health podcast. Ashley, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Ashley, I know you have a pretty eclectic sort of background. You have a Reiki master, NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, all sorts of cool, interesting stuff. And today, I wanted to see if you could sort of cover the topic from your experiences, your backgrounds, the topic of overcoming anxiety. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Yes. 11 years ago, I became a master practitioner and trainer of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, timeline therapy, hypnosis, and coaching. And I learned this little technique, and it takes less than 5 minutes to teach, and I will definitely teach it to you here. And this technique is the nuclear bomb for eliminating anxiety. It completely blows it up if you do it. It's sort of like a gym is awesome if you use it. So you've got to use this technique. So, and you know what, you don't have to have like an anxiety disorder, because everyone experiences anxiety at some point in their life. So I definitely want you to experience this and then remember to use it on a regular basis, because it actually will rewire your brain for success. It's this awesome little technique, and I'm looking forward to teaching it to you. And I am coming out with a whole training system online about how to eliminate anxiety. More information about that can be found at learntruehealth.com. That's coming out in the future, but I'm going to give you guys basically the one technique that if you do this one technique, you will have incredible success with eliminating anxiety. I did this one technique right after I learned it, I did it with one of my first clients that I had after I became a master practitioner of NLP. And I didn't know she was on any medication. I taught her this, I did it with her, and she came back to me and said, for years I've been on anti-anxiety medication and I am now off of it because I use this technique you taught me. So that is how powerful it is.
Cool. And yeah, guys, check out the learntruehealth.com website. There's so much great information. I was just on there a few minutes ago. About an hour ago before we kind of jumped on the interview here, and just checking some resources out, some of the podcast interviews Ashley's done, some of the articles and stuff that are up on there. So it's an incredible resource of just all kinds of great information. Ashley, before we dive into this one technique, I want to keep the Elite Man audience in suspense just for a couple of moments here, guys. Bear with me. But can you just explain quickly what NLP is, and then what timeline therapy is? Because I know they're related, but I want guys to kind of have a better understanding of what they each are.
Yes, absolutely. I am such a huge fan of NLP. You probably heard of it, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. You've definitely heard of Tony Robbins, that's what he originally learned. One of the first things he did was he learned from the creators of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. He took their classes and he was on fire from it. And he was like, I'm going to change the world because these techniques cut through all the BS and help you shift your life into what you want. And so that's the foundation of what Tony Robbins does and a lot of other, personal change gurus. It's really the no BS way to personal growth. And so neuro-linguistic programming, how it got started was Richard Bandler, John Grinder looked around in the 60s and were looking at the modern therapy community. And what they realized, it was very un-American. Americans love to be really successful and, just really strive for ultimate success. Except what was happening in the mental health field, the therapy field, was that we were really judging people on whether they were normal or abnormal. And they said, well, I don't want to just be normal. I want to be excellent. I want to be amazing. And that's not what therapy was. Therapy was helping people who are abnormal. And if you were normal, you get a pass and you can move on with your life and sort of have a mediocre life. And that's not what they were committed to. So they understood how the brain processes information. We have all these millions of bits of data coming in, what you hear, what you see, what you feel. Like, you probably aren't conscious of your feet right now until I mention it, because your brain consciously wasn't allocating your resources to feeling your feet or feeling your back against your chair or acknowledging your breath, right? You're just, that's unconscious. So there's all this stuff happening in the unconscious, and you're consciously only aware of a tiny fraction of what's going on. But what part of your brain allows you to be aware of, allows you to filter out, right? So all this information is coming in, but we're not conscious of it. So who's in charge of filtering it and choosing what you're not hearing, what you're not experiencing consciously, what you're not feeling consciously? And what they figured out was that we have filters, and these filters filter out certain things. Like, let's say someone says, I love you. If you have a strong belief that you're not lovable, then you might not even hear them say it. Or you might decide your filter would interpret it as, oh, they're trying to just get something from me. And so people are being genuine towards us, and we might filter it out and misinterpret them because we've got these filters. And what's clogging up our filters are our limiting decisions and negative emotions that we have. Also our values, and our personal beliefs, which are great. Values are fantastic. But if we have limiting decisions linked to our values, so let's say we have a value money, because today's society, we all need money. Wouldn't it be great to have lots of money? But then we have people who have these negative beliefs about money, like, I can't have money, burns a hole through my pocket. I can never get enough, or money's the root of all evil. And if we have these negative unconscious beliefs about money, then we will actually sabotage ourselves to getting money. Same with love. If we don't believe we're loved or if we're good enough, then we will unconsciously filter out experiences and even communications with people that would support that we are loved or we are good enough. And so they created all these techniques to help people cut through the BS so they can get rid of the negative emotions and limiting decisions, and so they can live an excellent life that they really want.
Awesome. And so that is the sort of genesis of NLP. And is that similar? I know they're very connected, and you kind of explained this earlier to me. What is the major difference, I guess, between timeline therapy then and NLP?
So timeline therapy was created by my teacher, Tad James, and it's phenomenal. Highly recommended if you want to become a coach. I really recommend checking out Tad. He's great. I took all of his trainings, and I was, like I said, a master practitioner and trainer of these techniques. And then I went back and I assisted at his courses afterwards. And then he actually hired me as his sales manager. And so I moved from Canada to the States years ago and worked with him personally. And what he did was he took NLP and he studied, again, just like Tony Robbins, he studied from the original creators of NLP. And then he's very smart. And what he did was he took it to the next level, and he realized that we hold on to a lot of negative emotions, whether we acknowledge it or not, they're there. And so what he saw was there was a way to actually get to the root cause of a negative emotion and a limiting decision, get to the root cause and resolve it so that the unconscious mind lets go of it and resolves it. And so people who are really angry or prone to anger, so you get cut off in traffic and all of a sudden you want to like murder someone and you know, like looking at that person like a fly on the wall, we might go, okay, that was a little extreme. Like that amount of anger did not match the situation. And maybe you've had this before where maybe you feel a great amount of fear, but you know, it's like, this is kind of irrational fear. Like, why am I having this much fear to this like very small, non-life threatening experience? And what happens is we have something called a gestalt, and it's a chain of emotions. I don't want to say negative, because emotions aren't negative in and of themselves. It's negative when we hold on to unresolved emotions from the past. And so when we have this chain of unresolved emotions from the past, it lights up in our neurology and it affects our biochemistry and it clouds our judgment. It actually shunts blood away from the logic centers of the brain. Like there's all these different things it does to our body, to our mind, to our life. And it really just doesn't allow us to have an awesome life. And so timeline therapy is this really quick technique where you can get to the root cause of that negative emotion, gain resolution, and the unconscious mind lets it go. So now you've gained the resolution, you still have the memory, but now you've got all these learnings and these new resources that your unconscious mind gained, and you consciously are now aware of them. And then when you think back on those memories where when you thought about this time in the past, maybe this argument you had a few years ago, you used to be able to actually still feel anger in the moment when you thought about this old memory. After timeline therapy, which is very quick, it's like one session. When you think about it, you can remember it, but you don't have the charge now. You go, oh, wow, I don't have any physical memory, or I don't have the physical experience of that negative emotion. And this is great, especially I love working with entrepreneurs and business owners, because they're highly motivated to get to the root cause and eliminate it and go become successful. And so those are my favorite kind of clients, because they are not going to let their any kind of self-sabotage get in the way, because they're very highly motivated to just being awesome and being very successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree. You know, entrepreneurs are some of the busiest people I've come to know, and you know, they have so many things going on in their lives. Who needs time for negative emotions from 30 years ago, which are holding them back now, right? So,
Yeah. I worked with this one sales guy, and he was the sales manager of an audio store in Quebec, and Trois-Rivières, Quebec, and he was amazing. You know, he ran a huge electronics store, and I sat down with him and his team to coach them. And I asked each one of them individually, what do you feel is holding you back from being better at sales? You know, like, I'm not there to tell them what to do. I want to know, what is their problem? And he said, I can't connect with my customers. I can't connect with them. And I know that, and you must know, rapport is incredibly important. We have to be able to connect with people. We have to feel that emotional connection. And he just felt a wall. He felt like frozen. And you could tell his demeanor. He was very distant. He was very like pale. I couldn't really get a connection with him either. So I was like, yeah, I can see that. And so we went to do timeline therapy. And anger was fine. We resolved anger first. Then we went to sadness, and I said, okay, are you guys ready to resolve sadness? And he said, no. And I said, what's up? And of course, this was a very interesting experience because everyone's talking half French, half English. And he said, I saw my grandmother burned to death when I was 3, and I must hold on to the sadness to honor her. And it was like a giant light bulb went off in my head. Of course, he can't connect with people. His entire life since he was 3, he was unable to connect with people because he was holding on to immense sadness over the loss of his grandmother and seeing her die in front of him. And I said to him in that moment, I said, don't you realize you're holding on to the wrong emotion to honor her? You've been holding on to sadness all these years, but don't you want to honor her with love? And the look on his face, he was so pale to begin with. And this is like, February in Quebec, right? So we're pale already. And he was just pasty white. And the blood started to fill up his neck and go up into his cheeks and up. And by the time it was in his forehead, he said, yes, I'm ready. And we went back and we resolved his sadness and all the sadness he had in his life. And after that meeting, we walk out. Now, everyone did in the whole group, but we all walked out. And I am personally good friends with the regional manager, and I've known him my whole life. He's awesome. He did a triple take. He can do a double take. He did a triple take looking at this manager, and he pulled me aside and said, what did you do to him? I have known him for 15 years. I have never seen him smile in my life. He looks like a different person. And that day forward, he was a completely different person. His sales, not only did his sales go through the roof, but I didn't know that he had issues with his wife and his kids. After that, he resigned his position to work at a store closer to same chain, but a closer store to the house because he was commuting so long, so he could spend more time with his wife, with his kids. Their relationships flourished, his sales flourished. And I keep once in a while checking back in because that was 11 years ago. It was so amazing that this, sitting down with someone for a day could have such a profound impact because what we did was we resolved the negative emotions from the past. And that is like just literally taking off all the baggage so you can live the life you want right now.
Mm-hmm. And I guess before we sort of move on to the topic today, but how do you get some of these clients or people listening to you, how do you get them to open up to you and to the point where that you can understand sort of their deep unresolved issues that they've been holding on to? Like, not everyone is just going to open up and say, I think 30 years ago I saw, my grandmother or whatever, my mom.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you get to that point?
You know what? And this is why NLP and timeline therapy go hand in hand. Because in NLP, we learn language patterns and we're asking the right questions. It's really about asking the right questions. First of all, you have to have rapport. So in the first few minutes of being together, you want to establish rapport. And there's a whole technique in NLP for establishing rapport, matching and mirroring them, and also making sure they're committed. So I spend the first few minutes just, gaining rapport with them, asking what they want. They've got to be committed. And I because I was hired by I was hired to come in. They didn't have to invest any money to work with me in this particular situation. So I had to really make sure they were committed because it is difficult to work with someone who has no personal investment, right? Because someone else was paying the bill. And there were a few salesmen, not in that situation, but I had one salesman I can remember that wouldn't work with me outright. And I was like, that's okay, that's fine. And they were surprised because they thought they had to be there. They had to work with me. I'm like, no, you don't want to increase your sales. That's fine. No problem. I need the person to be committed. So they have to be committed to wanting a better life. And then I gain rapport with them. And then I use the right questions, and I use visual acuity. So I'm a sensory acuity. I'm really observing them. And if I do phone coaching, I'm observing the tonation of their voice, and not in any judgmental way, but just observing them, because I'm listening for all the unconscious communication. More of our communication is over 60% of our communication is unconscious. That comes from the tone of our voice, the cadence, the gravitas, the how we hold our body. So we can really say a lot by our body movements, and this is why people with autism have so much trouble communicating, because they do not recognize facial expressions. They do not recognize these simple things that you and I take for granted. We can really understand people when we're observing their physiology, and they don't see that. So that's one of the huge problems that they have. So much of that is observing the person, but really it's the right questions to ask. And we start, with little questions, and then it just goes deeper and deeper. And it's not like Freudian therapy. It's not like I'm not asking people to like relive, really traumatic experiences. It's really just about helping them get to the root cause of what's holding them back. And you could do that. You can ask yourself questions. The answer's in the question. Ask yourself lots of questions. If you do a behavior you don't like, start to ask yourself, well, what triggered that? Why did I do that? What am I getting out of it? What is it costing me? And you just begin to ask yourself questions, you're going to start to open up and understand that problem more, and understand like what its motivation is behind it. Like smoking cigarettes. Like, why am I doing this? Like, what is it costing me? Like, what is it giving me? A lot of people smoke cigarettes because they feel a need to rebel, or because they never take breaks, they never take care of themselves, and it's the only break they give them. And so they begin to see what this bad behavior, like a quote unquote bad behavior, is filling the void. What void is it filling? So once you see that, then you go, oh, okay. So what I really need to do is take better care of myself, and take breaks, and take some vacations, and be less stressed, and go exercise, and then I won't have the need to go for cigarette breaks, right? And so we can figure this out. We have to start asking ourselves the right questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely love that answer, and I think you're right. Typically, I don't refer back to like a business book on, say, a podcast where we're talking about anxiety or overcoming personal problems, but it just reminded me of a podcast I recently did with Ryan Levesque, and we talk about his book Ask, where he's talking about figuring out what your audience wants, what your market wants, by asking them the right questions. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of, it just reminds me of this, like asking yourself the right questions, asking what you really want by figuring out what your needs are, what your desires are, some of your past behaviors, why you're emotionally doing things and trying things out. If you can ask yourself the right questions and like reflect on what your true needs are, I think you can be a healthier person overall, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a big correlation between being really good at sales and being a really good coach, because if you're really good at sales, you're really good at listening. You're really good at understanding what they value and understanding their needs, and then helping link their needs to your product. So in coaching, we have to understand their needs, understand their values, understand what they want, and then basically helping kind of convince them to try on new behaviors. And so we're selling them into that. So there's a lot of correlations between being great at sales and being a great coach.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, so Ashley, let's dive right into it. We've kept our Elite Man audience waiting now for a little bit. Let's dive right into the technique that we mentioned earlier about how to eliminate anxiety.
Awesome. So, Justin, do you have anything right now you're anxious about? It's even something small. When you think about it, can you feel anxiety about something right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All right. And you don't have to share, but do you want to share what it is?
Sure. I wanted to go to the gym today, and right now it's 6:30 at night. I wanted to go to the gym earlier today and get it out of the way, but now I got an interview, obviously right now, and I got some work to do for probably an hour afterwards. So I'm probably not going to be able to go to the gym until about 9 o'clock tonight, and I get anxious, or not anxious, but a little kind of stressed about going so late.
Okay, and so when you say that you're stressed, you feel anxious or stressed about going so late, what are you focusing on? When you go to the gym at 9, what are you expecting to happen that makes you stressed about it?
I think I expect to be up later, and I'm kind of a night owl as it is, but I try to get things done earlier so that I can sort of go to bed earlier. But when I go to the gym later, I end up staying up later at that point.
Got it. So when you think about going to the gym later, in your mind, are you sort of thinking about like waking up tomorrow morning really groggy and then having a crappy day tomorrow?
Yeah,
So it's,
exactly.
so you've correlated. Oh God, if I go to gym at 9 tomorrow, if I go to the gym at 9 tonight, tomorrow's shot. And that's kind of
Yeah,
the okay. So that's perfect. That lays it out. So I'm going to do the technique with you. The easiest way to teach it is to do it. So
cool.
go ahead and close your eyes and just sit comfortably, take a deep breath. And I want you to float above your body and float out to 15 minutes past the successful completion of this event. So in this case, it would be floating out at 9:15 tomorrow and see the success. What would it be to have the best day tomorrow? So in this case, it would be seeing you highly productive, lots of energy, waking up like just fully alive, having a great sleep last night. Now come back to now, open your eyes. When you think about going to the gym tonight at 9, how do you feel?
I feel all right about it. I don't feel as stressed out about it, to be honest.
So I know this is like this is probably like a 0.3 out of 10 in terms of anxiety that you're experiencing. And I totally get it. I have the same thing. I don't want to go to the gym at night because I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be up all night because it energizes me. Exercise can also calm us. So if you have something you're highly anxious about, and I'll tell you about, I was actually on another podcast with an author who wrote a book for one of the authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He was a really cool guy. And I asked him, are you experiencing any anxiety? And he was really curious about this technique. And he goes, yeah, actually, I'm releasing my second book and I have a lot of anxiety about the launch. And I said, great. Okay. I want you to close your eyes, float up above your body and go out 15 minutes past the successful completion of your launch and look down at that event. So what do you see? What are you feeling? Where's your anxiety? And he's looking down at the events 15 minutes past the successful completion of his launch. And he goes, well, my anxiety's less. I said, okay, great. What are you anxious about now? And he goes, all the reviews. And he was imagining like this mob of people like hating him. We do that. We think that we're alone and this rest of the world is this community, this mob consciousness of people that are going to like gang up on us. And it's so funny. It's so like primal, like the neighboring tribe is going to all come together, not like us, right? Not like me personally. And whereas everyone is we have to remember that everyone is just scared of each other. We're all just individuals afraid of each other. There's no mob consciousness, but he was imagining this giant mob consciousness, of people all hating his book, which is always very unrealistic when we think about what we're actually anxious about. But he wasn't conscious of what he was anxious about until we got into this technique. And so I said, okay, great. I want you to now float 15 minutes past the successful completion of all the reviews. And I stress the word successful because some people forget that. And then they're like, oh, I'm so anxious. I'm like, great. What are you focusing on? People killing me. It's like, okay, successful completion. And so he floated out past the successful completion of every single review his book would ever get. I'm like, where's your anxiety? He goes, it's gone. I'm like, great, come back to now. He came back to now. I said, how do you feel about your book launch? He says, I feel amazing. And then we started talking. He shared with me, he goes, he also has a podcast and he does lots of interviews. He goes, he feels amazing during his interviews. But when he gets off his interviews, his wife kind of sees him slouch down in like almost like a defeated position in his chair. And then for the next an hour or so, he's kind of mopey and she goes, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he wasn't really conscious of what was going on. But in that moment, after I taught him this technique, he realized what he was focusing on. After every awesome interview, he started to think about every single person that would give him would think poorly of him or give him a bad review, or again, that like mob consciousness, fear of a bunch of people not liking us. Or all the people that would judge him, like, did I say that right? And he would just sort of nitpick and think of and focus on the worst case scenarios. And what we do this is we think sometimes in life we go, well, I need to be the doubting Thomas, or I need to like think of all the I got to prepare, right? I got to prepare for all the, eventualities so I can be the best, for example, entrepreneur. And I'm launching a new product. I have to prepare for, what happens if this happens? What happens if my credit card processor doesn't go down? What happens if, all these little worst case scenarios, we should have a backup plan, right? And focusing on the worst case scenarios and preparing, being very prepared, are two different things, but often we get them confused. If you prepare for, okay, my credit card processor might go down, so I'm going to have PayPal and Stripe as a backup. Or like you think about, or if a storm's coming, so I'm going to have a generator just in case my electricity goes out, because I have a hotspot in case my Wi-Fi goes out, right? There, now it's done. Now I don't have to focus on it, and I go move on with my day. So I prepare and I move on. But a lot of people will focus on and think about, even like almost on an unconscious level, the power going out and my Wi-Fi goes out, and then I can't do my podcast interview, and then my I can't check my my website, and then my credit card processor goes down, and then I'm paying for all this advertising, but my customers can't buy, and then I'm broke, and then I'm homeless, and then I'm dead. And then this is what we do, is we build and build and build on the worst case scenario. We're focusing in on it, when what we can do, so like your dance lessons, you went for dance lessons, you could have been thinking about, I'm going to fall, I'm going to trip, I'm going to like bump into someone and break their arm. All these women that I'm in this dance class with are going to like hate me or boo and hiss at me, and you can be like building it up and building it up and building it up. Or public speaking, I'm going to stutter. I'm going to throw up in front of them. I'm going to forget everything. I'm going to say 500 times. People are going to be, like staring at me and judging me. And so what we kind of have this runaway train of this imagination, and it's all the worst case scenarios. And then of course we feel anxiety, because anxiety is this really unique emotion. You cannot think of a past event in life and feel anxious. You can think of a past event and feel happy, excited, sad, all these other emotions, but you cannot think of an event in the past and feel anxiety, because anxiety isn't like any other emotion. It is actually the check engine light of our brain. So you're driving along and your check engine light comes on. You don't keep driving for, 1,000 miles. You go get it checked. That is the check engine light. The anxiety is asking you, hey, do you want to focus on that? Is this what we want to create? Because the mind-body connection, our body cannot tell the difference between what is imagined and what's real. So you're sitting in a movie theater, or you're watching, the Living Dead, whatever TV show, and Walking Dead. I can't watch that show. I tried. It's like, I like the plot. I hate the zombies, but anyways. So, but you sit down, you watch it, and all of a sudden, so you watch a scary movie and your heart starts pounding, your palms start sweating. You're having a physical response and you are completely safe in a movie theater. You're completely safe in your living room. And yet your body is on a runaway train. Like Freddy Krueger's going to come out and jump at you, right? So we have a big physiological response to imagined fears. And when we let our unconscious mind run away with all these worst case scenario ideas, that we're actively imagining them, then our body responds, and our unconscious mind goes, hey, do you want to be like giving yourself a heart attack because you're thinking about the worst case scenarios, or do you want to focus on the best? And I'll say one more thing about this. There's something in racing called target fixation, and absolutely go look this up on YouTube. Target fixation, like motorcycle or motorcycle racing, and you'll see like long distance, like the Gran Turismo, for example. These cars are driving around, and all the cars are making the turn, and then one car, he drives, instead of making the turn, he doesn't make the turn, and he drives up onto the mound or the hill where there's people. And the people had to like jump out of the way of the car, or a motorcycle is going wrong, and then he hits a pole. It's like, how did you hit that pole? And it's called target fixation. We will travel to what we are focusing on. And so as a driver, you stare at the road. You don't get distracted by the bystanders who are up on the hill watching you. Because when the driver looks there, he will actually drive there. And it's very common. And we do this in driving and we do this in life. We will take our body and take our results in life where we focus. So we need to focus on what we want. We need to focus on the successful completion of all events. So we're telling our body and mind, get them in alignment with focusing on what we want to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love your technique. Is it called guided meditation or guided visualization where you're doing that?
It's actually a technique developed by Ted James, timeline therapy. It is a timeline therapy technique, but, focusing on what you want, and it isn't new. I'm sure he just took it and kind of applied it into his already existing timeline therapy. But basically, you're actively visualizing. So you could call it a guided meditation, but you're guiding yourself. And really, what you need to do is do this as often as possible. Even if you don't have anxiety, you're about to go, just practice it. Because what you're doing is you're rewiring your brain, and by doing so, you're actually going to change every cell in your body. We have neurotransmitters, and we have all these little peptides and all these chemicals that will bind to every cell in our body. And these are hormones, right? And will tell our body what's going on. We have, 37.5 trillion cells in our body. And so when we are prone to anxiety, or we do this a lot, that our body becomes more wired for it. And if we are prone to anger or prone to fear, literally every cell in the body is more wired for it. And we need to get our body and our 37.5 trillion cells in alignment with success, and in alignment with confidence, in alignment with happiness. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to have anxiety. But how much time do you want to spend in that, and how much time do you want to wire your life for that? So focus on what you want. So if you're going to the grocery store tonight, you're going to the gym. So you're going to the gym. So I want you to actively imagine the successful completion of being at the gym. And then you imagine yourself, you're wiping yourself down with a towel. You had a really great workout. You just see yourself, and you can even do one step more. You can step into your body like you're at the end of the workout, and you can step into yourself in your mind. See what you see, feel what you feel, and really feel the feelings of an amazing workout. You just had the best workout of your life. And you feel that juice running in you, that excitement going through you. You take a deep breath. And then you go to the gym, right? So imagine, you're driving home tonight, or, you're going to work. Get into the best day of your life at work. Just imagine, I just had the best day of my life at work. And you just step into your body, 8 hours from now, having had the best day of your life at work, right? So we can focus on the absolute best, the excellence. And that wires our brain to focus. It's like target fixation. Now you're telling your neurochemistry to focus on that. Go get that.
Yeah, that's and what you're talking about is so powerful. It's like you mentioned, the subconscious mind literally can control all your feelings and emotions. And this sounds very similar to me to self-hypnosis. And I'm a big proponent of self-hypnosis. I've been using it for years. But this is almost like self-hypnotizing yourself, but talking aloud and kind of training yourself to do it.
Sure. And there's different levels. Yeah, absolutely. And there's different levels of trance, right? So when we talk about self-hypnosis, if you're hypnotizing yourself, it's a light state of trance. You might get into medium, but really it's a light state of trance. So you have that conscious, unconscious awareness. Deep trance is someone else has to do it with you, because the only way to get into deep trance is when someone's doing what's called authoritarian hypnosis. So they're telling you direct communications, because at that point, deep trance is incredibly profound, but you're out. Your conscious mind is out, and someone is talking straight to your unconscious mind. And that can be great. But where I like to do the change work the most is the light state of trance, because what I noticed is when people go to hypnotherapists and they get the deep trance, so like they're practically like asleep, their unconscious mind is under anesthesia, and the hypnotherapist is working directly with their unconscious mind. They might tell them, you're no longer a smoker, you hate cigarettes, yada yada, and then you come out of it. Your unconscious mind's now like more working towards not smoking. But did you change anything consciously in your life? Did you change your habits consciously? Did you tell your, on a conscious level, there wasn't any change work. And so we really need to make change work at in my opinion, the light state of trance, because the more our consciousness is owning and taking responsibility for the change, and having the experience of the change, and then going, wow, look what I did. I did it. Look, I didn't smoke cigarettes. I did it. Then what it does is it reinforces it and reinforces the positive behavior unconsciously. So we want to keep reinforcing. And that's why light state of trance is so powerful. I know there's also people who are really afraid of their unconscious mind. I was super afraid of hypnosis before I tried it. I was afraid that my unconscious mind would there'd be some deep, dark secrets that would come out. I'd find out I was abused as a child. And I think we're so afraid of the unknown. And if we don't have a strong connection with ourselves, if we haven't really gotten to know ourselves, if we have lost trust in ourselves. And this happens if we lie to ourselves, I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. And we keep doing these little white lies over and over again. Or we keep, we feel that we've failed a diet or we failed something, or we keep saying we're going to read a book instead of watch TV, but then we don't. These little lies add up and we begin to we lose trust in ourselves. We lose that trust. Our conscious and unconscious mind have lost trust with each other. And so we begin to not trust ourselves. And that leads to being afraid of ourselves, and feeling like a fear that we don't have control. And so it's a great way to rebuild that friendship, that connection that we have with ourselves, is to do light state trance. And also be your word. If you say you're going to the gym, go to the gym. Honor your promises to yourself. And if you break a promise to yourself, apologize to yourself and recommit. If you took the relationship you have with your own unconscious mind, not you personally, but listeners, people in general, and looked at it, most people would have to call the cops on ourselves. We are so abusive towards ourselves, and we'll treat each other, we'll treat others nicer than we'll treat ourselves. And we need to start treating ourselves like we really love ourselves. And that building of that trust, of that conscious unconscious connection, and doing light state trance like you do with self-hypnosis, and asking ourselves these questions and getting more aware, and noticing where we don't trust ourselves in life. Every time I get together with my parents, I always end up yelling at them. So I don't trust myself around them, those kind of things. We got to start examining, well, where does that come from? And know that you can heal. I think a lot of people don't realize that they can change habits. They can change. It's not hardwired. We can change. That's the big thing about NLP, is that we can make the changes we want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Ashley. And it's been a phenomenal interview, and I really do love that technique that you shared with us. And I think our listeners are going to really enjoy this one. Is there any last sort of takeaway message, and then a place that our listeners can check out more about you?
Absolutely. I would say the takeaway is that look for areas of life where you need to forgive yourself. I know for me, I've been on over 30 diets. I've read every diet book, and I was doing that very stereotypical, I do the diet for a while and then I wouldn't. And then I beat myself up and think there's something bad and wrong with me. And for guys, it might be I wanted to be able to build my muscle mass, and I went to the gym for a while and then I sort of that dropped off. Or, there's somewhere in your life where you have sort of broken that big trust and that big relationship with yourself. And maybe you beat yourself up and you're thinking that there's something broken or wrong with you. And there isn't. Honestly, you're awesome. And the best thing to do is to acknowledge how great you are, and start thinking about what you love about yourself, and then focus on what you want, and step into every day. Think about, like I said, if you're going to work, before you go to work, imagine being at the end of the workday having the best workday ever, and step into your body 8 hours from now in just for a minute or 30 seconds and really get intense. Feel the feelings and see what you see, hear what you hear, and feel those feelings of the best day ever. And just live in it, breathe in it, feel those feelings rise up in your body. Or if you're going on a date and you're really nervous, you're about to go on a date, then imagine what's the best ending to a date? Maybe you get to hold her hand and kiss her, give her a hug. Maybe she says to you, I'd love to see you again. Like, just go over the top. Imagine the best ending to a date and really step into your body and see what you see, hear what you hear, and feel those feelings of the absolute best evening. And then go on that date. And you keep doing that and keep moving towards, focus on and move towards what you want. You will notice a shift in your life.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Ashley, where's a place our listeners could check out more about you?
LearnTrueHealth.com, and health for me and what I teach with all my guests. I have a lot of doctors that come on the show and authors and you. Learn True Health is about gaining health and excellence in every area of your life. So because holistic health is mind-body connection, is mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, we have a lot about getting off drugs and taking supplements instead and getting, our emotional health back. I'm really proud of it because I've gotten a ton of great feedback of people who've shared with me that it's made a big difference in their life. And so I love doing Learn True Health and getting people connected with holistic information.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashley, again. I know our listeners are going to love this, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Justin. Enjoy what you heard today on your episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Did something move you, inspire you? Did you get great information that's going to change your life? Awesome. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is to help you gain your health back. Please turn around and share this. If this is something that's helped you in any way, share this with those you love. Love the Learn True Health podcast and want to support us? Awesome. You can go to takeyoursupplements.com and you can support us that way. You'll get access to amazing supplements that are just really great quality for a great price. And there'll be someone on the other end of the line to help you pick out your supplements that are right for you. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Or join our membership, LearnTrueHealth.com/join. That's another great way to support our podcast, support our movement, and you'll be supporting yourself. Gain more information, wonderful videos, wonderful trainings, and you'll also be able to share those with those you love as well. So go to LearnTrueHealth.com/join. Want something fun for free? Go to LearnTrueHealth.com, and right there on the front page, you'll see where you can get our free cookbook. I spent a lot of time making it, and it was so much fun. It's really delicious, healthy recipes. And you can also get our 7-day doctor course. Right there, it's 7 days of naturopathic videos sent right to your inbox, and you can learn from top naturopaths on how to gain health naturally. So that's takeyoursupplements.com for wonderful supplements. LearnTrueHealth.com/join to join our awesome membership, which is only open for a limited time. You can get our free healthy cookbook, and you can also get for free 7 days of wonderful naturopathic videos sent to you. Just go to LearnTrueHealth.com and you'll see it right there on the front page. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for sharing and helping others. Let's spread this information and turn this ripple into a tidal wave.